In the first reading today, we hear about how this individual was saved from all these various things. There were the body from destruction, the scourge of the slanderous tongue, the lips that went over to falsehood, and also the people that roared and wanting to devour, the power that sought his life, the gates of afflictions which encompassed him, the flames which hemmed him in, the deep belly of the netherworld, the unclean tongue, dishonest lying lips, and dishonest tongues, all these different things that are enumerated. The only thing that you can say is this must be somebody who prays. And you think, well, what's that have to do with anything? Well, if you're going to take up the prayer life, this is what's going to happen. It's going to happen in different ways. There are people that are going to slander you. There are going to be people who lie about you. There are going to be people who, because they don't understand what you're trying to do, they're going to reject you. That's part and parcel of the prayer life. What is necessary is that there has to be a detachment from the human affection, and so that means getting dragged through the mud. It's the only way that it comes. But there's another aspect to this, and that has to do with our own self. Obviously, some of this, you can look at it on the actual practical level. Say maybe this person was nearly burned, or this person, the king wanted to put them to death, or whatever the case might be. But what happens in all of our lives, in the spiritual life, is that as we progress along, there are things that will come up that God wants us to face. And we don't want anything to do with it. It's usually some area of where we've been wounded from the past, somewhere where we've been hurt, maybe some area in our personality that is weak and needs to be addressed. Whatever it might be, God wants us to face whatever that is and to work through it. We don't want to deal with it. Maybe whatever it is just such a horribly painful memory that we have that we just want it buried. Maybe it's something that happened when we were little and we don't even remember it. And yet the soul knows that there's a problem there and it's avoiding it. And so what happens is that the Lord wants us to face this thing. We don't want to. So as we run away, we try and turn from it. And as we turn, there's something else coming right at us. So we turn a little bit further, thinking we'll go down a different path, and there's something coming right at us on that path. So we turn again. As we keep turning, we're just making more and more of a circle. But nonetheless, we keep turning, trying to find a path that we can walk down and not get hit with whatever it is that's coming right at us. Sure enough, there's something coming that way, and we keep turning and turning and turning, and there's something coming every direction. And the reason for that is because the only way out of this is to go through whatever it is that we were trying to avoid in the first place. And so you size things up rather quickly. You say, either I can move straight ahead into whatever it is that I don't want to look at, or all of these things are going to hit me at the same time. But if I just take a step forward, they're all going to smash into one another, and it'll be one step right behind me. That's the way the Lord works. Otherwise, most of us wouldn't even be willing to take that step forward to look at whatever that horrible thing is that we're trying to avoid. But once we can face it and work our way through it, then we can put it behind us forever. It's not there any longer in front of us, being an area where we are afraid, where it makes us stop dead in our tracks, because now we're free of it. We've been able to face it with the grace of God, and now we can move forward until we come to the next one, and then we go through the whole rigmarole all over again. We just keep turning around in circles and trying to find an escape. Doesn't work, we finally realize, just face the thing, and when we do, then we can work right through it. So that's just one of the common situations that will happen in prayer. I should point out another one that is, as long as we're on the topic, and that is that God will bring us to the edge of what would spiritually look like a cliff. And then he says, jump. And we say, And so we walk along the edge of the cliff for a while to see if there's a different way that we can do this. Maybe there's a stairway we can take. Maybe there's a parachute waiting for me up the way a little bit. Maybe there's some way that I can do this without having to jump. And then, of course, when we don't find anything, what we tend to do is back way off, meaning that we get sloppy in prayer. We're not really focusing on God. We're looking at anything and everything else. And of course, we run away to any distraction that we can find, whatever kind of sin there might be in your life, whatever things you might find that can distract you from prayer, you name it, whatever it is. And then after a while, we realize I'm going backwards. So then we start moving forward again. It's like, oh, this is great, I'm moving forward. And then, of course, you come to the edge of the cliff, and God says, jump. And so we, of course, back off again. Eventually, we're going to finally, we have a choice to make. We can either just keep going back and forth for the rest of our life, or we can jump. And it looks totally stupid to jump because there's no net down there. There's nothing to catch you. And God says, just trust me. This is one of the issues where, again, obviously, it's trust. Do we trust God? And so finally, we jump. Now, initially, we look like one of those old cartoon characters where they go off the cliff and then their legs start going backwards and then they somehow manage to go backwards and wind up back on top of the cliff. It's like, rats, I thought I did it, and now I'm back on the cliff again. We'll finally do it. And then down we go. So maybe for a couple of days in prayer, it's like you're just in a free fall, and it feels totally out of control. And then just before you're about to smack into the ground, God just swoops down, catches you, sets you down on your feet, and you just keep walking like nothing ever happened. And he says, just trust me. So in all these things, whether it's people slandering us, lying about us, whatever it is, whether it's somebody who wants to kill us, whatever, it doesn't matter. Trust the Lord. Keep your focus on him. Just keep walking forward. He'll handle it. But for most of us, the only way we learn that is to face these different things in our prayer. And as we work them through, each time we trust God a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And then eventually, when we come to the next cliff, we just keep on walking because we're not even concerned. We just know he's going to take care of it. And it's down you go, catches you at the bottom, no problem. Gets to the point people can say whatever they want. You just don't care anymore. You've become detached from human affection. People want to talk about you, let them talk. If they want to tear you down, let them tear you down. It doesn't matter because you don't care. Not in a bad attitude sense of that, but truly it doesn't matter. All that matters is what God thinks of you. All that matters is doing what he wants you to do. So keep your focus on him, keep praying, and the key is just keep moving forward. If something pops up that you don't want to face, if you try and run from it, he's not going to let you. Just keep walking. Don't waste the time running from here to there and everywhere else. Easier said than done, I realize, because our natural tendency is to run. But if we can just face the stuff that's there, work our way through it, it's done. It's behind you. You never have to look at it again. Yeah, there may be more that are going to come up, but time after time, you just work through it and you can be healed. That's what the Lord wants. He wants you to be healed so that you can be the person he created you to be in order to be the saint that he's calling you to be. That's what he desires for you. And so we just simply have to cooperate. He'll do everything else. We just have to make the choice to keep on walking, to trust him, and to allow him to bring us through all these trials.